What's up YouTube, Del here from Zephyr, and today, not only am I going to bring you an update for my favourite deck in the entire game of Yu-Gi-Oh! But also, we are celebrating 10 years as a channel. That's right. Crazy to think that back in 2016, this channel launched its first ever video, and you'll never guess what it was. So, not only are we going to be able to do that, I'm going to celebrate by giving you an update of Dark Magician. Dark Magician are getting more support in the next couple of months as well, which is insane. But this is actually a build I've been working on for a long time now, and I feel that I finally got the ratios correct to give it its best possible outcome. So I'm going to take you through the entire main deck. I'll show you a demo side deck. Now, this is a side deck I'm currently using on other decks, but there are other cards you can add into this that will kind of make it a little bit better as well. So, with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe. As you can see with the light behind me, I'm trying to make it a bit more themed. I'm also trying to up the quality of these videos as well for you all to enjoy. So starting off with the ultimate wizard in terms of attack and defense, we are playing 2 Dark Magician. That's right. Yugi's Ace Monster, my personal favourite monster, and my personal favourite artwork. 2 is more than enough. You don't need to go too crazy and play 3. You can do if you wish. I'm not saying you can't, but it's just 2 is the comfortable amount. You're going to be able to get it from deck to grave very easily. You'll be able to get it from deck to hand if you need to. There are so many different ways you'll gain access to this card, and you constantly keep recycling it as well. Then we have 3 Magician's Rod. Dark Magician would not be complete without his trusty rod. Unfortunately, this is the only card that has not received an upgrade. Well, we do know that we're getting an alternative artwork for Secrets of Dark Magic and Dark Magical Circle, which I'm super stoked about. But it'd be really nice for Magician's Rod to get a little bit of a love and maybe a bit of an upgrade. 3 Magician's Rod. The best thing about Magician's Rod, and this was something that I was so tempted by as well, is I really wanted to play and build an invoked version of the deck. Now, if I skip ahead a little bit and just show you the card in the extra deck that allows that to happen, being the Necromancer that we got in Doom of Dimensions, this gives you the ability to send a spell card from spell or trap card from the hand or field to the graveyard to then normal summon a spellcaster monster. So the benefit of something like that is it lets you get access to Rod and Alistair in the same turn, which was pretty cool. And that's something I really wanted to work with, and I also really wanted to get Dominus Impulse into the deck because I just think the card's crazy good. But with this version, we are playing the Primites, and then in the Invoke version, you kind of rely on Macabre, unless you want to be going down a very control route, and you basically just end on a Windar, a Dragoon, and a Caliga, which is pretty restrictive. Then we have probably the best, bar Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, probably the best support card that Dark Magician has ever received, and that is the Magician's Souls. This card is just absolutely incredible. To be able to send a level 5 or higher spellcaster, level 6 or higher, spellcaster from deck to the grave to then either summon this or summon back a Dark Magician or a Dark Magician Girl from the graveyard is incredible. Now, in versions, you can play a Dark Magician Girl should you wish to. That does give you 2 draws rather than 1. You can also play Palladium Oracle Mahad as well, and that will give you 3 draws rather than 1 from your build and when you are utilizing stuff like your Soul Servant. Again, I am personally minimizing those particular what is considered a brick in the game just because they can really slow down the deck. Now, if you want to be moving more into like an Oracle Mana, Oracle Mahad, and of course a Dark Magician Girl, you would play the deck a little bit differently. You'd be looking at stuff like Magician's Salvation. I would highly advise you looking at Magician's Combination because you want to maximize your abilities of utilizing Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl. You'd definitely be utilizing cards like Bond between teacher and student, and that's when you would make this deck a pure, pure Dark Magician focused build, and then you're going to be focusing on fun more than like actual playability at a local environment. Then we do have the 1 Timaeus the United Dragon. And then we are playing 2 Illusion of Chaos and 1 Preparation of Rites. Now, people can play this in many different ways. I don't feel that you're ever in a position where you need to play 3 Illusion of Chaos and 3 Preparation of Rites. I don't even think you're in much of a position to play a 3 and a 2, but you can do if you want to. I feel that in an environment, if Droll is running rampant, you're probably going to want to look at playing 3 Illusion of Chaos and not even worry about Preparation searching this out, because if Preparation searches out and you get Drolled, that's it, end of turn. You're not really doing anything with the Illusion of Chaos. But if you hard see the Illusion of Chaos, at least your search for that will lead you to something. If you fear Droll, you go for Timaeus, you go for Soul Servant. If you don't, you go for Magician's Rod. So you've got a couple of different options there. Then for the rest of the Dark Magician cards, free Soul Servant, like legally stack your deck. incredible. And then being able to draw cards. Now, when we get the new support in the Maze of, I always call it Haquero, but I know it's not Haquero. When we get in the new Maze set, we do get the brand new Tamiya's card and the brand new Dark Magician Fusion Monster, which is ridiculously good because you can just tribute off, I think it's off the top of my head, like tribute off a level 7 or might be like a level 6 spellcaster. A level 6 or higher spellcaster, the turn a spell card has been activated, which is absolutely mental. So the issue is it's kind of like a splashable engine, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but it's definitely going into Dark Magicians. The downside is I highly expect that in the Maze set, it will become like one of the higher rarity cards. I don't think Maze sets, and correct me if I'm wrong, have Starlights in them, but they definitely have collector rares, so maybe there'll be a collector rares, and I'll be looking to pick those up big time. Then we do play the one Dark Magical Circle. I'm not too sure when we're going to get the alternative artwork from this, maybe in Rarity Collection 5, but then we also do have another brand new Dark Magician card that is yet to be confirmed for the TCG, as it is in like a rarity set for the OCG, but again, only time will tell. Got the one Secrets of Dark Magic. This also has an alternative artwork, and again, hopefully it goes from a rare to at least a foil, will be really nice. So this one is going to allow you to fusion summon or ritual summon should you want to, but you have to use Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl as material, which is incredibly easy in the deck. Then we finally, for the Dark Magician cards, is the one Eternal Soul. Now, as you can see, there's very good similarities between this and Blue Eyes. The one thing that Blue Eyes have is with their structure deck that they got, the White Destiny at the start of last year, they got so many cool upgrades. They got a Maiden upgrade, so it'd be nice for us to get a Rod upgrade. They also got a route to get to their field spell, so it'd be very nice if we had a Link monster that could also get us to Eternal Soul, Dark Magical Circle, or a spell that basically lists Dark Magician would be incredible. I know we get that in the field spell, but just a card that does that in the form of a Link would be insane. And then if that Link could tribute itself off to special summon a Dark Magician, that would also be great. But yeah, I digress. Absolutely fine for the layout on this one. Again, you want to keep all of these cards to the minimums. You don't need to rely on them that heavily, and it kind of gives you a bit more balance for the deck as well. Moving on to the supporting Primite package, we are playing 3 Primite Ether Beryl. So again, this is the other benefit of using the Necromancer card, is technically if you start with the Ether Beryl, you go Ether Beryl plus Magician's Souls. That will then get you everything you need. You put both of those together into the Necromancer, and then the Necromancer can go, cool, send Lordy Load if you want to, and that will then allow you to normal summon down your Magician's Rod, and then use Magician's Rod to search out the Dark Magician spell that you might want. So swings and roundabouts, really good. Then we've got free Primite Lordy Load. So again, this is the other, I wouldn't say downside, but the other difference between Dark Magician and Blue Eyes is right now, Blue Eyes have the ability to go, cool, Lordy Load with Primite Ether Beryl going to the Hieratic Seals. Whereas Dark Magician don't really have that. Like Dark Magician, the best thing they could do is probably go into Necromancer, or they need to get a way to fuse. So they then need an additional card to fuse in order to then put up some form of presence. It will be really cool, again, once we get the new Fusion card and once we get the new, if we can get 2 new Fusion monsters and a brand new Fusion spell in the new Maze set, that would be kind of cool to utilise. But I just feel that it's missing that little bit of a bump, that little bit of an edge that the Blue Eyes has. You can use Raw of the Blue Eyed and, Primite Raw, and you can also use Primite Fusion. I like the idea of using Primite Fusion, but I wanted to get the deck down to 40 cards rather than 41. You can bump it up to 41. That would then give you 4 cards in your main deck that gives you the ability to Fusion summon. Primite Fusion, Secrets of Dark Magic, the Tamiya's Dragon, and then, sneak preview, Branded Fusion. I'll talk about this in a second because it's actually really good synergy, which is pretty good. The one Primite Drill Beam, like constantly being able to recycle this in Ether Beryl is mental. Then, for the preview card, we play 1 Fallen of Albaz and 1 Branded Fusion alongside 2 The Fallen and the Virtuous. Now, when I was looking at the non-engine space for this deck, I wanted to be quite aggressive. So I was like, you know what? Let's go Fallen and the Virtuous. Now, the reason Fallen and the Virtuous is so incredibly good with this deck is that you can activate Fallen and Virtuous during your turn. You send an Albion. You could then choose during the end phase to either add Branded Fusion for the follow-up, or you add and set a Fallen and the Virtuous. So you've got another disruption during your opponent's turn. If you hard open up the Fallen and the Virtuous, you can set it so that during your opponent's turn, you flip the Fallen and the Virtuous, do the exact same thing. Send your Albion from the extra deck to the graveyard. But this time, during your turn and the end phase of your opponent's turn, you add Branded Fusion to your hand. In doing so, you activate Branded Fusion. You're pretty much going the old school way to get into access to Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. And what you would do is you would then send Fallen of Albaz plus Dark Magician, go into Lubellion. Lubellion could then discard a card. That will then allow you to put the Albion that you previously sent from the graveyard back into the deck and Dark Magician to give you the Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. That would then mean if you do have a second Fallen of Albaz, rather than having to play 3 branded targets, you only need to play 2, and they can kind of recycle each other. So it's really kind of cool being able to do that. And that's what I liked about it, is I was technically like, well, if I hard open up a Fallen Virtuous, I can either go for a second Fallen Virtuous or I go for a Brand of Fusion. So I can go for my aggressive route to get me to Dragoon, or I might already have a route to Dragoon and I go a different way anyway. So you get a little bit more flexibility on that one. It's really, really nice. Then for the other non-engine, we've got 3 Mulchummy Fuelos, 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. Again, as I said, I've gone quite aggressive, so I've gone with 3 Super Polymerization, and then I'm finishing this off with 2 Forbidden Droplet. As we're already discarding with Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, we're already discarding with Super Polymerization. Technically, we might have to discard if we want to use the Necromancer. So you're trying to play cards that you're not always relying on discarding on, and just giving yourself a little bit more flexibility, so you don't need to use Forbidden Droplet against your opponent's Arfulion during your turn. You can just go, no, Forbidden Chalice. So this is just my personal choice on this one right now. Don't have to play it, adapt it to whatever you see fit. If you want to make the ability to make Albion directly from the deck that needs a Fallen of Albaz plus a light monster, you can very easily put Effect Failure in the space, and that will then give you more consistency to do so. Bystials are also something you might want to consider, but I feel that they're something that could be bumped to the side deck, as they're something that are a little bit less reliant in the current meta right now. But then the same could be said for Super Polymerization. If the environment you're going to does not have any effect against Super Polymerization at all, take that out. That then opens up some space in your extra deck, but it can also open up some space in your main deck to play 3 cards that are going to be specifically targeted to your local environment that will give you the maximum possible outcome. So that's it for the entire main deck. Now I'm going to do is tidy this up, and I'm going to show you the extra deck. So with the extra deck, as a disclaimer, I am going to show you 16 cards. Now bear with me, when I show you these 16 cards, I will give you what you're going to want to focus on, what you're going to want to change, and what you're going to have your alternative options for. So let's start with our fusion monsters. Of course, the first name on the list is going to be your Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. Like, that's pretty much a no-brainer. This is your go-to ace monster. The only thing I need for Dark Magician, please, is a much easier way to make this, which we kind of get, but I want something that is just Dark Magician. I want a Red Eyes fusion, but for Dark Magician that says you can only special summon spellcasters, or something like that for the entire turn. So it's not splashable, but, you know, time will tell. Then I do play the 1 Dark Magicians. Now you don't have to play this card at all. This is just one of these cards that I really like the artwork for, not going to lie. And its effect isn't so bad. So once per turn, if a spell or trap card or effect is activated, except during a damage step, you draw a card, and then if it was a spell or trap, you get to set it. And if it was a trap or a quick play spell, you get to activate it that turn. Now this gets a little bit more effective going into your side deck, because for your side deck, you can start to use stuff like your Dragon's Mind. But what I quite like about this is because I'm playing Super Polymerization, because I'm playing the Fallen and the Virtuous, these are quick play spells that I could draw during my opponent's turn, and they're instantly live, which can be absolutely devastating. Not to mention you've also got Forbidden Chalice. You also do have Primite Drill Beam if you do get access to it. You could go for a Soul Servant, Dark Magical Circle, Lordy Load. Obviously you can't use Dark Magical Circle the turn you get it on this one because it's not a quick play or a trap card, but you get the idea that you have loads of ways to draw these cards, and you're either holding them in the hand or setting them and using them during your opponent's turn. Then for the other one, for our defensive option, I've got Dark Magician of the Dragon Knight. Now this one is mainly in here to protect your Lordy Load. It can also be in here to protect your Eternal Soul. It is just another nice one that treats itself as Dark Magician in the graveyard, so once successfully summoned, you can just bring it back. Now, if you're not the biggest fan of this and you want to be aggressive, this is your 16th card, or one of your 16th cards. So the other alternative option is Dark Magician, the Knight of Dragon Magic. Now this is the aggressive alternative to Dragon Knight, Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight. And the reason for that one is, this one is any of your monsters then gain piercing attack, which is insane, because it's basically if your monster attacks a defensive monster, inflict piercing battle damage to your opponent. And then once per turn, when your monster destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you get to inflict damage to your opponent equal to that destroyed monster's attack. And then the secondary effect is if this card's destroyed, you special summon specifically Dark Magician and Gaia the Fierce Knight. Sorry, Gaia the Dragon Champion, but we're not playing Gaia the Dragon Champion. You can do if you want to, but we're not going to be doing that. Then for the branded cards, we do play the 1 Lubellion and the 1 Albion. Pretty much already explained these. Very rarely do you ever want to be sending Lubellion. The idea is you'd send your Albion, and then you're either searching out a second Fallen of the Virtuous, or you're searching out Branded Fusion. Then for our Super Polymerization targets, we've got Garura, we've got Mud Dragon. You could, if you want to keep in both the Dragon Knights, actually cut the Starving Venom. But again, these are just your flexible options. These are pretty much your staples because these are your generic Super Polymerization targets. This is your ideal card that can just be utilized for Mitsurugi sometimes can be quite effective, and then just those rogue matchups that put 2 darks on the field. If you find an environment that's running with Yubel, then you can go for Yubel, the Loving Defender. If you're in an environment that is running around playing loads of fusion monsters, then of course you can go for the Drax Tapelia. You've got a couple of different options, flex it up, change it up as you see fit. Then for the Link monsters, we've got the one Misama Necromancer. So as already mentioned, this requires 2 monsters, including a Dark Spellcaster, so it doesn't care what the other one is. If this card is Link summoned, you get to add a level 5 or higher Dark Spellcaster from the graveyard to your hand. So it's quite nice if you've already Magician sold your Dark Magician to the graveyard, which you probably would do if you go normal summon Ether Beryl, Magician Soul, send Dark Magician to the graveyard, summon out Magician Souls, link those 2 together into Necromancer. It will add the Dark Magician back to your hand. Then if you have the capabilities, you can send a spell face up on the field, which you probably would have got through your Primite Ether Beryl. Send that, or even send a Drill Beam if you've got the ability to recycle it, entirely up to you. Send that, and then you get to normal summon a Spellcaster. So if you've got Magician's Rod in your hand as well, we're no longer in this dilemma of which one do I go for. You can just go, cool, I'll get the Magician's Rod down as well. Eternal Soul, already got my Dark Magician, good to rock and roll. Or Secrets of Dark Magic, already got my Dark Magician, got another Spellcaster on the field. Let's go into the Dark Magicians. Dart the Dark Charmer, pretty straightforward and simple on that one. SP Little Knight, again, pretty standard. Celine, the Queen of Master Magicians. Now this can work you into one of 2 options. Your standard option that more people will go into will be your access code Talker. So you'll make your access code Talker with 5,300 attack. It will more times than not have a light and a dark in the graveyard as well, and that's going to give you the ability to banish those cards and then non-target destroy non-target destroy without response one of your opponent's cards, and you can do that twice. But then the final card that you're going to be playing, which is going to be an option for you again, so this is going to be your other additional card that you can kind of consider, is you're then going to be going for your Mech Knight Crusader Avramax. Now this is your defensive option, because if you can go through the Celine combo, which is basically just 2 monsters into Dart the Dark Charmer or 3 monsters into Celine, revive a Dark Magician, you could then work your way into Avramax as your defensive option or access code Talker. The final card in our extra deck is going to be Umduct, the World Chalice Guard Dragon, and this is what is going to complete your ability of the access code Talker to being able to have 3 attributes in the graveyard. So usually what you do, Dart the Dark Charmer go in second, brings back a Dart from your opponent's graveyard, works you into Celine. Celine then brings back Dark Magician from your graveyard. You then turn Dark Magician into Umduct. Now it can also be turned into Link Spider. The reason I liked Umduct is it is a dragon on the field that could be utilized for your other fusion plays. It's also a dragon in the graveyard that could be utilized for your fusion dragon plays, especially if you're playing Primite Fusion. In doing so, when you put this to the graveyard to make your access code Talker, or because you need 2 extra deck monsters, you make your Avramax, your access code Talker now has a guaranteed wind in the form of the Guard Dragon, dark in Dark Charmer, and then light in Celine, in order to banish those and then clear off 3 of your opponent's cards. And then all you need to do is get that final little bit of attack on the field and you will be able to complete your OTK. So that's it for the entire main deck and the extra deck. Now to show you a very basic demo side deck. Now these are just cards that I would say you want to be considering putting in a side deck, but at the end of the day you adapt it to what your environment has. Now, you play 3 counter trap cards. Now this is what you would actually do here is I would personally be playing 2 Dragon's Mind and I would play 1 of the Primite Scream, because the Primite Scream is very easily searchable, and then the other one is the Dragon's Mind. The only reason that you would tilt towards Iron Thunder instead is that the fact of the matter is that this doesn't care if you control a Dark Magician or a monster with 2,500 attack or anything like that, and this gives you a little bit more flexibility. So look at the counter traps. They're your 3 counter trap options in my opinion, and what I like about those is it just gives you the ability to solidify your capabilities and your position going first. Then as a field breaker option, I go with the idea of evenly matched. I feel that you could play this at 1 if you are playing Triple Tactics Thrust, or you're going to be maxing out on this at 3 if you are not. You can also consider Nibiru if you are in a combo heavy environment that does not respect Nibiru, but if they respect it, play through it, play under it, then you might want to consider something else. I would then also consider 1 of the 2 Chummies, if not playing 2 of each of these. And the idea behind that one, again, is if the environment is either summoning quite a lot from the hand or summoning quite a lot from the grave or banished, so Malice, you then have counter answers to them. If they're not doing either of those, then you open up more spaces for you. And then the final card I would consider would be something like a Droll and Lockbird. You could also consider stuff like Lightning Storm, but you would ultimately end up adapting your side deck to the environment you're going to and pretty much choosing what is going to be the most effective for you in your current matchups, because you will know your local environment a heck of a lot better than I will. So that's pretty much it for the entire profile. Hopefully this has given you a couple of ideas on an updated Dark Magician build until we get the brand new May set. And I am super excited for that May set. I think it's going to be absolutely incredible. As you can tell, my voice is starting to go. This usually happens when I do a late night recording, but the idea is that I just wanted to show you this updated Dark Magician profile for you all. It's kind of one of the ones that a lot of people have asked me for an updated Dark Magician branded build. Honestly, I feel that this is probably one of the best ways to do it for the pure fact that the Dark Magician itself, with the brandage, you don't need to take up that much space, and that's when you're going to get the benefit of the Fallen and the Virtuous. So being able to utilize a card as great as Fallen and the Virtuous gives you a little bit more to play around with, and then a little bit more to kind of, I don't know, just a little bit more to help you break a field, but a little bit more consistency as well without having to clog the entire deck down with loads of different options. Anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed this. Thank you so much for supporting the channel for the past 10 years. Whether you joined at day number 1, whether you were joined yesterday or even today, I appreciate every single one of you that follows this channel. It allows me to keep doing this as a passion project on, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. If you do have any suggestions, by all means, comments down below, and of course, questions. But for now, as absolutely always, thank you so much, stay safe, and of course, happy dueling.